Hi, I'm Callie. 6 months ago, I gave birth to my beautiful daughter, Lily, after years of trying with my husband, Mark. We'd almost given up hope when the pregnancy test finally showed positive. The journey wasn't easy. We'd faced 2 miscarriages before. But Lily was our miracle. She has your eyes, Mark said, gently rocking her in the hospital room. And your stubborn chin, I replied, exhausted but happier than I'd ever been. My life changed completely when I became a mother, but I wasn't prepared for how it would change my relationship with my sister-in-law, Vanessa. Vanessa had been trying to conceive for years with her husband, Paul. 4 failed IVF treatments later, she'd grown increasingly bitter about our success. "How's motherhood treating you?" Vanessa asked during their first visit, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Exhausting but wonderful," I answered, noticing how she clutched Lily a little too tightly when I let her hold her. "Paul and I have been talking," she said, bouncing Lily while pacing around our living room. "We've decided to stop the treatments. The emotional toll is just too much." "I'm sorry, Vanessa. I know how badly you wanted this." She looked down at Lily, then directly into my eyes. "That's why we wanted to talk to you both. We've been thinking, you're both so busy with your careers. Mark mentioned you're going back to work soon. Paul and I have so much love to give, and we're financially stable." Mark shifted uncomfortably beside me. "Van, what exactly are you suggesting?" "We want to adopt Lily," she stated flatly, as if requesting to borrow a dress. The room went silent. I felt my heart racing. "Excuse me?" I finally managed. "Think about it." Vanessa's voice grew animated. "She'd stay in the family. You could see her whenever you want. I'd be a full-time mom, something you've said you don't want to be." "I never said that," I replied, my voice shaking. "I said balancing work and motherhood would be challenging." "But we're ready to devote everything to her," Paul interjected softly. "Vanessa's already converted the guest room into a nursery." "You did what?" Mark stood up. "Without even talking to us first." Vanessa's expression hardened. "We thought you'd be reasonable about this. It makes perfect sense." "No, it doesn't," I said, reaching for Lily. "She's our daughter. We're not giving her up." The visit ended awkwardly, with Vanessa barely speaking as they left. 2 days later, my phone rang. "Hey, it's Jen. Did I just see your sister-in-law at the coffee shop talking to Sarah from social services?" My stomach dropped. "What were they saying?" "I couldn't hear everything, but Vanessa mentioned your name, the baby, and something about concerns." That evening, I received a text from Vanessa. "I hope you reconsider our offer. Otherwise, I might have to share my concerns about your parenting with the proper authorities. A baby deserves parents who put her first." "Mark!" I called, my hands shaking as I showed him the message. "Your sister just threatened to call CPS on us if we don't give her our baby." "She did what?" Mark stared at the text message, his face flushing with anger. "This is insane. I'll call her right now." I grabbed his arm. "Wait, we need to be strategic about this. If she's really planning to make a false report, we need evidence first." The next morning, my friend Jen came over with coffee and determination. "I recorded part of their conversation," Jen admitted, pulling out her phone. "I know it's intrusive, but something felt off. The recording was muffled, but clear enough." "I just need documentation of any parenting issues," Vanessa's voice said. "They both work long hours, and the baby cries constantly when I visit." "That's completely false," I exclaimed. "And she knows it. I'm on maternity leave, and Mark adjusted his schedule to be home more." "Classic manipulation," Jen said. "She's creating a narrative." Mark paced the living room. "I can't believe my own sister would do this." We decided to meet with Paul separately, hoping he might not be fully aware of Vanessa's plans. We invited him for lunch while Vanessa was at her yoga class. "Paul, we need to talk about something serious," Mark began after we'd exchanged pleasantries. Paul looked uncomfortable. "If this is about the adoption idea, Vanessa told me you weren't receptive." "It's about the threat that followed," I said, showing him the text. Paul's face went pale. What threat? I don't understand. Your wife threatened to report us to Child Protective Services if we don't give her our baby, Mark explained. There must be some misunderstanding, Paul stammered. Vanessa wouldn't. I played Jen's recording. Paul put his head in his hands. She's been obsessed with having a baby. After the last failed IVF, something changed. She started buying baby clothes, setting up the nursery. I thought it was just her way of coping. Has she mentioned making reports about us? I asked. Paul hesitated. She's been making notes about your parenting. I thought she was just being judgmental, not this. We need your help, Paul, Mark said. If she files a false report, it could traumatize our family. What do you want me to do? Paul asked. Just tell the truth if authorities contact you, I replied. And maybe check her phone. If she's documenting things or contacting CPS, we need to know. Later that day, we met with a lawyer friend, Diana. These texts constitute blackmail and harassment, Diana said firmly. If she files a false report, that's another criminal offense. So what do? I asked. Document everything. Record conversations if legal in your state, and prepare for her to follow through on her threat. That night, Paul called. Vanessa's drafting an email to CPS. I saw it on her computer. She's making up stories about you leaving Lily alone, about fighting in front of her. It's all lies. Can you forward it to us? Mark asked. Already done, Paul replied, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I had no idea she would go this far. Armed with evidence, we invited Vanessa and Paul over for dinner. Jen and Diana waited in the next room as witnesses. My heart pounded as they arrived, Vanessa carrying a gift bag with baby clothes. Thanks for having us over, Vanessa said sweetly. I feel like we left things in a bad place last time. That's one way of putting it, Mark replied coldly. Sit down, Van. We need to talk. If this is about my text, I was just emotional. Stop, I interrupted. We know you've been planning to file a false report with CPS. We have the draft email you wrote. Vanessa's face hardened. Paul showed you that? It was private. Paul stepped forward. It was wrong, Vanessa. Making false accusations about your own family? They're not accusations if they're true, Vanessa snapped. I've seen how they are with Lily, always working, passing her off to babysitters. I haven't used a babysitter once since she was born, I countered. You're making things up. And we have proof, Mark added, pulling out his phone. We recorded your conversation with Sarah at the coffee shop. Fabricating evidence is a crime, Van. Vanessa laughed nervously. You're bluffing. That wouldn't even be admissible. Diana entered the room. Actually, as a family law attorney, I can tell you that in this state, it absolutely would be. Plus, your text messages constitute blackmail. This is ridiculous. Vanessa stood up. I was trying to help. That baby deserves better than two career-obsessed parents who don't have time for her. That baby is our daughter, I said firmly. And you've crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. I just wanted... Vanessa's voice cracked. You don't understand what it's like to want something so badly and watch someone else get it effortlessly. Effortlessly? I stood up, shaking. After 2 miscarriages? After 5 years of trying? You think having Lily was effortless? I would be a better mother, Vanessa insisted. I've always known it. Even Mark knows it. He told me once you weren't sure about having kids. Mark stepped between us. That was years ago, and you're twisting my words. This needs to stop, Van. Or what? She challenged. Or we file for a restraining order and press charges for attempted blackmail, Diana stated calmly. You wouldn't dare, Vanessa hissed, turning to me. You wouldn't do that to family. Family doesn't threaten to take someone's child away, I replied. Vanessa suddenly lunged forward, grabbing my arm so hard her nails dug in. You ungrateful bitch! I would have given her everything! Paul pulled her back. Vanessa, stop! Let go of me! She screamed, knocking over a lamp that shattered on the floor. You'll regret this. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of parents you really are. Jen had been recording from the doorway. I think we have what we need, she said, as Vanessa noticed her for the first time. You set me up, Vanessa whispered, looking at each of us. No, Mark replied sadly. You did this to yourself. The restraining order hearing was scheduled for the following week. Vanessa attempted to contact me 3 times before then, each message more desperate than the last. Please don't do this, her final voicemail pleaded. I was just trying to help. I love Lily like she's my own. But she's not, I told Mark as we listened to the message. That's the point she never understood. In the courthouse, Vanessa appeared with her own attorney, looking composed until she saw Paul sitting with us. You're choosing them? She asked him incredulously as we waited in the hallway. I'm choosing what's right, Paul replied quietly. What you did was wrong, Vanessa. All rise, the bailiff called as we entered the courtroom. The judge reviewed our evidence methodically. The threatening text, the recording, the draft email to CPS, and witness statements from Jen, Diana, and Paul. Mrs. Bennett, the judge addressed Vanessa, do you deny making these threats? I was concerned for my niece's welfare, Vanessa insisted. I acted out of love. Love doesn't threaten or blackmail, the judge replied. The court finds sufficient evidence to grant a 3-year restraining order prohibiting contact with the plaintiffs or their child. Vanessa gasped. 3 years? I won't see Lily for 3 years? Additionally, the judge continued, the court recommends the district attorney review this case for potential criminal charges of attempted blackmail and filing false reports. Outside the courtroom, Vanessa approached us one last time, her lawyer trying to pull her back. Callie, please, she begged. I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking clearly. The fertility treatments, the disappointments, they affected my judgment. We're family. I looked at her, this woman who had tried to take my daughter. We were family. But family respects boundaries. Family doesn't manipulate and threaten. I made a mistake, she cried. Everyone deserves a second chance. Not with my child's safety, I replied firmly. Not with our family's peace. 6 months later, we received word that Vanessa had pleaded guilty to reduced charges and received probation and mandatory counseling. Paul filed for divorce soon after. Do you think we were too harsh? Mark asked as we watched Lily take her first steps across our living room. No, I said without hesitation. What if we hadn't discovered her plan? What if she'd actually filed those false reports? Our family could have been torn apart. Jen came over that evening with dinner and updates. Paul's moving to Seattle for a fresh start, she reported, and Vanessa's apparently joining a support group for women dealing with infertility. I hope she gets the help she needs, I said sincerely. Just far away from us. You know what I've learned from all this? Mark mused as we put Lily to bed that night. What's that? Sometimes the hardest boundaries to set are with the people closest to you, but they're often the most important ones. I nodded, watching our daughter sleep peacefully. And sometimes the greatest act of love is protecting those who depend on you, no matter the cost. Have you ever had to cut off a family member to protect yourself or your children? The hardest decisions are often the ones that keep us safe. Share your experience in the comments below.